What's up, guys? Welcome to Furious Cat Production presents All That Talk with your boys here, Toy, Zach, and Austin, myself. Yeah, that was a dumb intro, but we're going to keep it in here. Tonight, we're going to be talking a little bit about divisional playoffs coming up, all 4 games. We're going to talk a little bit about the wild cards. With Zach and I, we jump into a little bit of how the Falcons-Saints game went in Week 18, and we talk a little bit about Tomlin, his coaching situation, him stepping down, Harbaugh's potential situation, and then later on, we'll talk to Toy and see how he's doing with everything, what his picks are for the divisional round. Same thing, talk about the wild card games. We talk about Tomlin, his legacy, whether or not the man's going to be a Hall of Famer, what he does in the future, a little bit more about Harbaugh. Yeah, man, it's going to be a little bit of a weird episode today. Not everybody was available at the same time, but I was able to jump on with both of them and just get everything recorded and get everybody's thoughts and opinions. Anyways, thanks for joining the show. Remember to like, share, comment, tell your friends, help us out. Help us help you. We want to provide you with entertainment, provide you with our know-how of the NFL. Obviously, I don't know how to talk, but I can talk NFL. Anyways, thanks, guys. Let's go ahead and jump over and hear what Zach has to say. You want to talk about these wildcard games?
Yeah, sure. Let's talk about them. Which one should we start with?
Let's just go ahead and start with the one that began all of these wildcard games. I'm going to still call it Super Wildcard Weekend. I think it's the best name for this. The Rams versus Panthers. Did you happen to catch that game?
I watched the tail end of it. The Panthers did make a game out of it. They pulled it close a little bit, probably more so than people thought. I think it was just kind of a little rusty on the Rams' part, getting a little bit of the cobwebs out and getting ready for the next week. But it was weird. Last weekend, I was catching the tail end of the game, so I saw a lot of the conclusions, but I wasn't able to see the real meat of the games.
I can tell you this: the Panthers looked like the better team almost the entire game, up until the last 5 minutes when the Rams finally pulled out. The Panthers looked like they were winning this game,
and that is surprising to hear, especially as a Falcons fan. Good for them. I'm glad they got a good showing. I'm glad that they lost to the Rams. But we'll just see what happens. The Rams. Who do they got this weekend? I'm so lopsided. They got the Bears.
Yeah, Rams and Bears this Sunday.
Real good this next week. But last week, yeah, they had a little bit of struggles. Stafford didn't really look the best, but hopefully they can get it figured out, through practice this week, and they should at least hold their own against the Bears. I'm not exactly sure who I'm going to pick to win that game, but the Rams are looking like they need to figure some things out.
They definitely do. There's a game I do want to talk to you about, by the way. What do you think about the NFC South being decided by the Falcons and the Saints?
It was a very unique game for sure. I'm glad we got the win. It's always feels good to beat the Saints. It kind of showed how weird that Atlanta team was. It did feel like towards the end of the year that Atlanta and Saints were kind of the actual teams that should have been the ones at the end competing for that division title, but just they had these weird games and these weird performances where the ball went the other way for the other teams. Falcons, 3 different games where we missed field goal attempts that would have pushed us to winning those games. You can't do that. But yeah, that was a very interesting game. It was a tough game. It was closer than I thought. I thought Atlanta was just going to go in, murk them, put 24 points, 28 points on them, and just not let them breathe. But it was a pretty close game.
Personally, all of that got to the point where I thought Falcons and Saints should have just been Sunday Night Football, because we have a game between 2 teams that do not have a playoff stake, making the stakes for the 2 teams that are going to potentially play in the playoffs. Not just that, with the Falcons winning, we ended up with a 3-way tie for first place in the AFC South. Or NFC South, sorry.
Yeah, NFC South, and that's with them losing a lot of games early in the season. The Falcons came back to make it to 8-9. So if Young Wei Koo doesn't miss that field goal week 1, we win that division.
Okay, going back to the wild cards here. Bears Packers. Bears win it in the end. Honestly, I wasn't really surprised. I did lose hope for the Bears midway through the game. I had them winning, but I did think they were going to lose that game right up until the end.
Yeah, and it was a close game too. Division games, especially in the playoffs, always are. So I wasn't surprised. I was very surprised with Caleb's performance. He looks sharp. Even as a young player, he doesn't move around like a young player. He reminds me, and I'm not saying that he's going to do what this person has done, but the way he's kind of maneuvering, he has flashes of a younger Mahomes. He's using his legs to kind of escape, to make those off the cup throws, and win it in the end. I'm very interested to see how this weekend goes when it comes to the games.
You mentioned Mahomes, and I swear to God, Chris Collinsworth's ears just twitched. Bills Jaguars. Bills won 27-24. I'm not gonna lie, I thought Bills were losing out on this one. I did pick the Jags to win, and I was thoroughly shocked by the fourth quarter comeback and heroics by Josh Allen here.
Yeah, in the beginning they did look a little sloppy. I caught the beginning of the game and then again saw a bit of the end. Not Mahomes. Allen doing things that he typically does in the playoffs, just makes the plays when he needs to. There's nothing else to really say. This is kind of par for the course when it comes to Josh Allen in the wild card round. He usually performs rather well, usually advances always. It's just usually the divisional round or the conference game where he starts to slip up. We'll see what happens in the coming days.
Yeah, I mean, the big narrative around Josh Allen right now is like if he doesn't win it this year, he's just never going to. He had all of his biggest threats are not in the playoffs. This is basically the Bills' playoffs to win. It really is up to them, or it's up to Bo Nix or Drake May becoming the young dogs to like come out and win it all. This is Josh Allen's year to lose, in my opinion.
Well, especially with what he has on offense, like that running game was really good this year. And he hadn't had that. It was a lot of, okay, Josh Allen's putting the team on his back. He's having to carry the load. He didn't really have to do that too much this year. He had to do it certain times during the season. But he has a good running game that he's been able to rely on, and that defense has been nothing to scoff at either. So it just going to depends on how that coaching staff gets them ready for the weekend.
And then we got 49ers and Eagles rounding off. Honestly, those first four games were the best games of the weekend. Mm-hmm. I thought every single game up until these next two was perfect. I thought they were amazing to watch. Defensive battles the entire way. People them struggling back and forth. But 49ers and Eagles, never in my mind did I think the Eagles were going to win. But I also didn't think they put up this much of a fight. I don't have a lot of hope in that Jalen Hurts offense right now. It's probably just their offensive coordinator is terrible.
Well, every year he's had to switch an offensive coordinator, Jalen Hurts. He hasn't had any consistency, so that's not going to help him in the long run at all. It was very poetic, in my opinion, that A.J. Brown was dropping a lot of balls towards the end of that game when they needed him, when he had constantly been chirping all year long that he wasn't getting the ball. Even when they were winning and doing well, he had an issue with it. When they called your name in the big game, he wasn't able to perform. It's going to depend on what they want to do in the offseason, the Eagles. I think they can bounce back. I would not listen to the fan base of the Philadelphia Eagles. You don't need to fire your head coach. I don't think that's going to answer anything. You need stability around Hurts. If you're going to get rid of the offensive coordinator, you better have some really big masterclass head that's going to be in there that's going to really help him, because just switching the coordinators every single year like this for him is not going to develop him into the quarterback you want for the future.
Yeah, honestly, I love this narrative around trying to fire the head coach. Nick Sirianni is like, honestly, to me, embodies what it is to be a Phillies fan. The man, like Phillies fan, are the loudest, the most. You can say however you want to say it. They're the most negative, the most toxic fans in the NFL. Like they love that team and they just want to see them win out every single year, and they will talk their shit all year long until they win. And they found a head coach that does it, and not just to the other team, but to the fans themselves. Like this man is Philly encoded, and they don't want him there. It's almost like Philly fans can't take their own shit.
It's like they're looking at a mirror. It's like it's one of them that has the clipboard, and they still don't see them winning as much as they think they should. So they need a reason to complain. I don't know. It's nothing new with Philly. I've never really liked the Philly fans for a long time. Throwing snowballs at fans and pelting, doing damage to, visiting people's like properties and stuff when they're in the stadium. Like, it's not right. I don't like that fan base. So I was honestly very thrilled that they lost that game this last week.
Wouldn't agree more. Even I hate rooting for the 49ers, but I would have preferred Seattle playing the 49ers than the Eagles any day.
Agreed.
Going on to the next two games. The first game here, Chargers and Patriots, it was 16-3 Patriots. I didn't really see a lot of excitement from this game personally. The Chargers did not look like a playoff team the entire game, and the Patriots honestly didn't look that much better, in my opinion. They still won. They won convincingly, but they didn't look that much better than the Chargers throughout the entire game.
Yeah, I don't know. They both seemed off. It seemed like the entire game was almost like a coaching chess match, almost. Like it was more so like the coaches having the guys prepared with the schemes than anything else. The offense of the Patriots defense just looked great. It reminded me of the old Patriots dynasty. They're attacking that in the trenches, getting in behind the backfield. They're constantly just smothering Herbert. I think the Patriots this year, I think it's their best chance to potentially get to the Super Bowl, especially without a Mahomes, without, the Ravens, the Steelers. Some of the big names in the AFC are gone. I think this is probably the best, opportunity that they have for able to get a ring this year. I know that they looked sloppy last week, but that might just be jitters, especially from Drake May. This is the first big game that he's had in the league. I think he's going to have a bigger performance here this week.
I mean, he also probably has the weight of the world on his shoulders right now. The man was a front runner for almost, I think it was 16 weeks straight or 15 weeks straight. The man was a front runner for MVP.
Yeah.
It's his second year in the league, and then he's also in his first playoff game ever. Like, yeah, it really could just be like just a lot of nerves, a lot of shaky nerves. Like, he's never been in his position, and he's going to have, to me, he has to get over that quick if he wants to get past the Texans next week. But this week, they came out the better team. As shaky and as sloppy as it was, they did it. Speaking of Texans, though, they beat the Steelers 30-6. To me, this score doesn't represent how good the defenses are on both sides of the ball. Let me rephrase that a little bit. The score itself is not representative of how good the defenses played against each other until the fourth quarter. Because
it was to run away.
Yeah, it was. Both teams were neck and neck. Like you couldn't see a better team out of either one of them. Both their offenses were terrible. Both the defenses were just shut out almost the entire game. And then Texans get two defensive scores in a row in the fourth quarter, and then the offense put up one touchdown. Like they truly were a neck and neck team right up until the fourth quarter. And sadly, the last pass we probably ever see from Aaron Rodgers was a pick six.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to come back, especially with Tomlin stepping down earlier this week. He went there to be the coach with Tomlin. Unless he wants to come back, like we've talked about previously, if he wants to come back because, again, doesn't want that last throw to be an interception, he might come back, but he's had a long couple years, a lot of hurdles to get through. He may not want to go through that again, especially because, if anything you know about Rodgers, he does not do OTAs. He doesn't like doing any of the off-season stuff, he likes to just show up right at the end of training camp and get to work. So I don't know if he's necessarily going to want to have the grind of an off-season.
Yeah, that's just it's going to be difficult picking a team right now that is in need of a quarterback that also has a good offensive line and a good enough defense to get the ball back to him. And I don't think there's any team right now that kind of fits that criteria. Sadly, like just with the rest of his career, no matter where he goes to, if there's a team out there right now that's missing a quarterback, their defense is going to be suffering. And it's just going to follow. It just followed his entire career up until really this game when Steelers defense all season was pretty bad, even though they were the highest paid defense in the entire league.
So when you were saying that, there was one team that came to mind, but I don't think he would ever go to the organization. Cleveland's going to probably end up needing a quarterback if they move from Shadur, and that defense can definitely hold on to a lead if they can get a good enough offense in Cleveland.
I guess the question is, can Cleveland afford him?
I don't know what their salary cap situation is. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I assume it's not going to be great because they're paying Myles Garrett on the other side, and you're going to need some pieces around him. That offensive line isn't going to keep him upright next year.
I know the difference is they have 5 quarterbacks on their roster right now. And currently they have negative $28 million in cap space. So they don't have money to pay anybody. And they have somebody with Deshaun Watson, who for the next 2 years is still going to get paid by them.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They're going to have Watson.
Still have Deshaun Watson, Dylan Gabriel, and Shadur Sanders are like the least of their worries because they were lower round draft picks anyways.
Yeah, unless someone's going to trade for Shadur, which...
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
No.
He didn't put... In my opinion, he did not put up an impressive enough performance to warrant getting traded to another team. And then Dylan Gabriel, same thing. Like, neither one of them were really impressive in either of their games.
When I think they like Gabriel enough to potentially have him in, like, a competition with, say, Watson, if they don't go with Shadur. Because he got injured, and then they put Sanders in. It's not like they made a coaching decision.
Yeah, and even then, like, who's to say Deshaun Watson ever plays again? The man's made almost $200 million from the Browns to sit on the injury reserve list.
Sounds nice.
I'm just going to say, man, he's enjoying the massage tables right now. Anyways, divisional round, let's get... Divisional round, let's just blow through these really quick. You got Bills and Broncos. Who do you think's winning?
I'm gonna go Bills. I like Josh Allen this year. I think it's gonna be his time to at least get to the AFC Championship. We'll see who ends up on the other side. I think the running game with Cook and with Allen, with that dual threat that he is, I think is going to be too much for that defense. Knicks, I think, is just too inexperienced, and I think it's just going to be a quick exit for the number 1 seed in the AFC.
I completely agree with you. I think Bills are going to have this. I think the Bills' biggest challenge is going to come in the AFC Championship, to be honest. I'm going to skip to the AFC one, too. Just Texans-Patriots. Personally, I have the Texans. I don't think the Patriots' offense is going to be able to stack up against that defense.
I think this is going to be a close game. I think if any game has the potential to go into overtime, I think it's going to be this one. I think it's going to be real tight. I have the Patriots just edging it out, though. They're going to be the home team. Drake May's looked all right. I think their defense is going to really carry them. I think Vrabel's going to be highly motivated to get them to an AFC Championship game, especially if they see the Bills beat the Broncos beforehand, knowing that they can have a home AFC Championship game.
Then we're going to go... I'm holding this one to the end for personal reasons, but we'll go Rams-Bears next. I've been tossing this one up all week, but to be honest, I do feel like the Rams are going to end up with the win here. Only just the narrative of them not being a good away team, mixed with them not being a good cold weather team, tells me that they're going to come out swinging, and they are going to just probably decimate the Bears.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be the Rams. I think the Bears do have a chance if they can, hold Stafford to throwing, not deep balls, just trying to, reduce the big shot with, Puka Nakua and those deep threats that they have. But I think that the offense they just have too many weapons. I think Stafford is just going to cut them up, and it's just going to be an easy day for the Rams.
Honestly, it's that Stafford Nakua combination. Even if the Bears can take away the deep threat, Stafford Nakua, Stafford Devontae, they'll easily connect for 5-10 yard games every single pass. They'll get little chunk plays over and over again until they're in the end zone. I don't see how the Bears can stop it.
No. Well, I mean, I think we could talk about how great that offense of the Rams is all day.
Absolutely. Until they reach Seattle again, which is my pick for Seattle versus 49ers. I'm picking Seattle. There's a lot of big narrative right now. I think 73% of the voting is going for the 49ers, just based off the fact that they got a few new players back from IR on defense. I don't think adding another linebacker and another DN to your defense is going to make up for the fact that Seattle's defense suffocated their offense last time. And they did not get a single key member from their offense back. I take that back. They did get a guard back, which is going to help. But at the end of the day, Seattle's ability to put pressure on a quarterback, Brock Purdy has proven he can't handle pressure. Sorry, personal reasons here. I had to go on a tangent.
No, you're good. See, this is a tough one too, because again, I'm from Seattle, so like my heart wants to pick Seattle. The Niners have looked damn good this year, though. It is going to be a tough one for the simple fact that they aren't going to have Kittle. I think that the Hawks are going to edge this one out. He kind of talked me into it, Austin. I think just like the Niners typically do, just too many injuries keeps them out of this one.
Crazy thing, I see the discourse online for this game a lot, and the discourse pisses me off, at least from the Seattle side, because Seattle fans are continuously saying this is going to be a blowout. Niners have no chance on offense. They're never going to do anything. I know I said the same thing, but I do think this is still going to be a close game. 49ers fans are saying that they're going to win 3 points, 4 points, maybe by an extra point. Like, I think they're more realistic about it, but I do think Seattle wins this. It's going to be a close game that comes down to the final drive. Like, whoever has the ball at the end, and odds are it'll be Seattle, is going to win this game.
I don't know. I feel like the Niners are going to have the ball last. Knowing the 12s being loud, it feels like that typically is what happens when it comes to them facing off in the playoffs. I'm excited to watch the game. I'm excited that it's that's on a Sunday, isn't it?
No, that's Saturday. That's tomorrow at 5:00 your time.
I'm going to be in Portland. I don't think I'm going to be watching that one. I'm going to have to catch the highlights.
I'll find a way to stream it to you guys. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
I didn't say that out loud. But yeah, there's our picks. Later on, I'll get Toys picks. We'll get some more conversation going. Zach, did you have anything you want to talk about before we head out?
What do you think about the whole Tomlin situation?
I don't know. I'm mixed on it because there are several reports from players that used to be under him that said this might be it. He's probably done. He's finished. This was his retirement. But there's also the bigger part of me that knows that just because you're leaving one team does not mean you're not going to go to another. He's still relatively young when it comes to coaching. And there's no reason to believe that this man couldn't go to some network, sign a 1-year deal, make $40 million, and then go back to coaching. Like, I think I think he loves the game too much to not come back. And I think he's too good of a coach to not put his expertise on another team that's needing it. I don't think next season's going to be the season for him to come back, obviously. I think he's taking minimum 1 year, maybe 2 years off. He will be a coach in some way, shape, or form in the NFL again, is my honest opinion.
I agree. I think, I honestly feel bad because I feel like a lot of this might stem from just the last like 3 to 4 years. Mike Tomlin has received a lot of criticism and a lot of hate from Pittsburgh. And I honestly don't know why. Like, I understand, like, you guys haven't won a Super Bowl in a while. I get it. But 19 years straight, no losing seasons. You're always in the playoffs. And what do you think's going to come to you? Do you think another Mike Tomlin's just going to fall in your lap because you guys went from Noel to Bill Cowher to Mike Tomlin? Like, there's a chance the dud might come there. So why are you trying to, like, just undercut this guy and ship him out of town? So I honestly feel bad for the situation he's been in.
There's part of me that feels bad for it, but there's also another part of me that's like, it's good to be the coach that's never had a losing season.
Yeah.
I understand that discourse. I understand that discussion. But when you are a coach that never has a losing season, you're consistently making at least the wild card round, there's a good chance you never pick up a player that you need. And sadly, the only way to get around that is to trade for a player you need, which means losing out on your future. And they haven't done a lot of trading for picks. They haven't done a lot of trading for people. They just kind of consistently stay in this bubble of like, we're going to get 9 wins or we're going to get 10 wins or we'll even out our record. Like, we'll always be above 500 in some way, but we're never going to be a Super Bowl team again. Like, the teams that he inherited when he actually went to the Super Bowl and won one were amazing teams where he didn't have to do a lot of work to get this team ready for a championship. So now that he was in this position for 17 years, I think it was, 17, 18 years as a coach of the Steelers, which honestly, amazing run.
It may have been 19.
19 years as a Steeler head coach. Amazing run. But at some point, you either need to have a losing season or two to get some like solid future, or you kind of just stay mid. You stay in the middle of the pack. You're always going to be a wild card team, and you're always going to be a first round exit. And he just fell into that loop.
So, final thought on Tomlin. So, I know he's not going to probably go anywhere this year, also for the simple fact that he stepped down, so the Pittsburgh Steelers so retain the rights to Mike Tomlin. So if anybody this year wants Tomlin, it would be the same way that Denver got Sean Payton a couple years back, where they had to trade the Saints something to then be able to hire him. What team that has a opening do you think he would fit best with?
I mean, off of the teams right now, I think the Browns would be a great spot for him. I do think they actually have a solid core. Their defense just had a record breaker on the defensive line. Myles Garrett just broke a record for the most sacks in one season. Even if he had one more game to do it, like, that's not an easy feat. And people don't. The closest one was T.J. Watt, who tied the record with Strahan. People don't break that record all the time. So that means you have somebody on your defense that you can build the defense around, and with just a few good picks. And that team always gets high picks. They just don't have the leadership to put those picks in the right spot or to give them the right coaching. I think Tomlin would be amazing on the Browns. I think he could turn that. I think the Browns could be a winning organization within 2 years if he went there.
Well, if that ended up happening this year, they probably got to send them at least 2 first-round picks. I don't think that's going to happen, but that would be a great pull.
Atlanta picks and Deshaun Watson. Get rid of him.
Atlanta. Atlanta, give him a call. I guarantee you won't even have to give him a first-round pick. You might even be able to give him a second or a third because you're in the NFC. Just give him a call. Sniff around. I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't know. There's 9 NFL coaching vacancies right now. I can't think of 9 head coaches off the top of my head, or 9 offensive coordinators or defensive coordinators that would fit into a head coaching role. So I'm going to say out of these 9, 6 of them are going to still be bad next year. 2 of them might be decent or have shown improvement, and then one of them is going to be in the playoffs. And I can't tell you which one because I don't know who the coaches are quite yet.
Yeah.
So actually, no, there is one that did just come out. Giants head coach potentially is going to be John Harbaugh. He is going to improve that team, and I hope the Giants fans stand with him when they go 5-12 next season.
Wow. 5-12. You're not even going to give them 8-9?
No. Team was built to be 8-9.
All I'm going to say right now about the Giants is if anyone's going to, give Jackson Dart some advice on how to protect himself when it comes to running, it's going to be John Harbaugh. He's had to deal with that with Lamar for many years of trying to convince him to, hey, let's tone it down, let's slide, let's protect yourself. So maybe Dart, this is going to kind of be what he needs for his career for that longevity so he doesn't keep getting hurt.
It could be good for Dart for the long term. I just think the Giants are currently in a situation that they're going to have a lot more changes before they can ever turn that franchise around. And even when they were like a story, let's say just throughout the 2000s, even as a storied like Super Bowl winning team, they were never the best team in the league. So like just to get back to that level is going to take a lot of work.
I will also say it's going to be interesting to see how Harbaugh is going to coach. Because the one critique that I've kind of heard over the years with Harbaugh is, he inherited a team that had a defense with Ray Lewis, Terrell Suggs, Ed Reed, and Nahodi Nada. So he had like a very elite defense to be able to lean back on. This Giants team needs a lot of work, so it's going to be interesting to see how that team develops over the coming years.
Well, the Giants have like a really good bench to lean on right now. Harbaugh, I don't know. I do agree with the fact that he was inherited a really good team, but he was also just a really good defensive coach. Because even when he lost all those guys, the Ravens' defense has always been amazing. I think this past season was the first time you looked at the Ravens' defense and saw some cracks in it.
Which is funny that you said that, because before he was a head coach for the Ravens, I think he was a special teams coordinator, John Harbaugh was. And he was able to, at least fundamentally make that team better in a bunch of different aspects. So I think the Giants are going to be all right, but I think it's going to take at least a couple years for them to be able to pull away in that division.
Well, let's just hope that the Giants have patience, because NFL teams don't nowadays.
You need it. You need patience. You need to give these coaches at least 3 to 4 years to see what they can do before you ship them out. This one and done stuff isn't going to work in this league anymore.
Yeah, I definitely think at least a minimum of 3 years, because you can't turn a franchise around in 1 year unless they have like the players and just poor leadership. Like the Jaguars are a good example of that. Of like they had the players, they just didn't have leadership to actually get them over the hump. Now they're in the playoffs. They're one of the best teams in the AFC. Fell short, but like they lost in a very, very exciting fashion. Like they're a very exciting team for the future.
Yeah. Well, your organization, you need to build culture. That's how you become a success. I'm a former high school wrestling coach for 3 or 4 years, and that was the number one thing for seminars for coaching that we were taught. It's all about the culture that you set for the organization that you're running. So it just depends on that culture that he lays down in New York.
All right. And then I know you got stuff to do. Let's go ahead and wrap you up here. I feel like we
Yeah,
went a little longer than we expected to. That's my bad.
that's all right. That's all right. I explained to the wife already. She said she gave me an extra like 20, 30 minutes for me to be able to do some stuff. So
Well, tell her I said hi. Tell her I said thank you.
we'll do.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Zach O'Raya.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again, like always. Thank you for anyone that's listening. We very much appreciate it.
All right, we're gonna take a commercial break with 0 commercials, and we'll be back with Toy.
Peace.
That would throw just a huge curveball in the entire Tomlin situation, if that's real.
It's so fucked up too because it's like you know that they waited purposely for the motherfucker to step down in order to say something. And I understand people fear out of like safety and all this stuff, but his wife literally just posted like a heartfelt message on like I guess Instagram earlier today or yesterday, last night. So this is not great news, but rumors and innuendos. I don't know if we want to run with that or not. So.
Yeah, just I guess for people listening, supposedly Tomlin has a secret child. There's nothing confirmed. We're not saying that happened. We're not saying anything about it other than that's a rumor, and it felt needed to be talked about.
I hate to bring race into this, but if the listeners don't know, I am a African American man. And one thing that I do hate, and one thing I will never do without 100% information and sources, I will never tear down another person who looks like me, especially another man who looks like me. So once we get all the information, we will definitely talk about it and we will share our opinions. But one thing I will not do is talk about rumor and innuendo until we get all the information. So.
Well, speaking of all the information, we do have all of the information for this last week's wildcard games. We have all the winners. We have everybody moving on. We have all the information we could possibly have. So, Toy, let me go game by game. I want to get your take, see exactly what you felt about these games.
Yes, sir.
Let's go with the first game here. We're going to go Rams versus Panthers. Just a recap, I said with Zach, this game was much closer than everybody thought it was going to be. I did say the Panthers were going to win. They didn't, but it sure as hell looked like they were going to until like the last 3 minutes.
Yeah, that was a hell of a game. I was very surprised how stoic and like how stoic Bryce Young was, and he acted like he was been there before, even though this was his first appearance. Granted, like I believe Stafford threw a pick. Did Bryce Young throw a pick? I can't remember.
Stafford threw a pick.
Stafford threw a pick, but I don't think Bryce Young had any really bad plays. You know, the drop pass, was that JC Horn that dropped the pass? I mean, that dropped the game-tying interception that would have won them the game.
I believe it was. Bryce Young also had an interception, but he still played a stellar game.
Very stellar game. So, man, it's hats off to him, that organization, and to that organization for turning it around. You know, for the last 10 years, hell, the last 5+ years at least, the Carolina Panthers, I felt like were a little cursed because of what happened in Super Bowl 50 against the Broncos, and I'm glad that they've gotten out of that negative limelight and that they have a team, and they're just going to keep building and building and building. You know, I had 2 picks this year who were sleeper teams, and they were the Chicago Bears and the Carolina Panthers, and I want to say, like, man, that not a lot of teams had any faith in those 2 organizations, and I'm glad that they have turned it around, and I'm very curious and very happy to see what the future brings towards them.
I agree. I think out of everybody in the NFC South currently, the Panthers have the brightest future. It doesn't help that the Saints and the Falcons just lost their head coach. Depending on how that goes, I still think Panthers have the brightest future out of all these teams. Buccaneers, I hate to say it, but like they're dwindling. They're going to need an amazing draft to even be considered for a top contender again. Baker Mayfield's going to play his ass off next year, no matter what happens. But he needs weapons. He needs a defense. That team is just going to kind of flounder for the next year or two.
100%. And no disrespect to the young guys who are entering the draft this year. Go out there, get your money, kill it. But nobody, in my opinion, like pops off on paper, that can change an organization. Julian Love, not Julian Love. Yeah, Julian Love. No, is it Julian Love? The kid that plays for Alabama, the safety. I can't remember his name. It'll come back to me, but he's very good. And I think another wide receiver from Alabama as well declared for the draft, and then Oregon's tight end declared for the draft too. But that's all offense. They need a lot more help on defense, at least for the Bucks. The Saints, they just need a lot of help in general. That team is very similar. I know we're going to talk about Mike T here pretty soon, but they're very similar to the Steelers. After Drew Brees hung them up, you hoped that Derek Carr would be there for you. And I hate to be rude, but he didn't provide a whole lot for them. He got Chris Olave $1,000 in ER visits and didn't provide anything. Like Alvin Kamara has been an afterthought. I can't even name outside of Chris Olave another receiver on that team. So, that defense is getting old, and they just need more pieces around them. So the Panthers have the best shot, and I hate to be rude to Zach's team, the Falcons, but they need to figure out because they have a stellar defense, but the NFC South, in my opinion, next year is running through Carolina.
Absolutely. Just to touch on with the Saints needing help, currently they're negative $20 million in cap space, which they've been negative for the past 4 years just because of the way they keep structuring contracts. The Falcons next year are looking at $18 million surplus currently. That's not going to do a hell of a lot in the grand scheme of things, but it'll get them like a key player or two. Not to mention the fact that like they just, once they can get rid of Kirk Cousins' contract, they're going to be able to like have a lot more room. It's just they got to get rid of that contract. And the only two ways right now is either a trade, which will take some cap space off it, or they cut him and then they're still stuck paying him for the next year or two. So like they just got to find a way to get rid of that contract. Same with we're talking about Panthers here. Currently they have 11 mil in cap space for this year. For next year they are projected. Oh, I just had them for a second.
Oh, you're good.
Oh, they disappeared for some. Oh, there it is. Next year, they're projected to have $95 million in cap space. So, like, they'll have a good number.
Yeah, they'll definitely be all right. So, no, I'm sorry. You said they're 95 in cap space. Good God.
I was wrong. That was my bad. I looked at 2027. 2026, they're going to have 11 million in cap space.
Oh,
so
okay.
They're going to need some help with the draft, but like they'll be able to get some stuff down, reworking some contracts. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
The Saints for next season are still negative 20 million. They're the ones that are going to need some help, serious help. Falcons 18 million for next year. Again, they're going to need some help from the draft, but that's going to be all up to whoever they get for a head coach too.
I will say Tyler Shook in the last 5 or 7 games that he started as a quarterback for the Saints looked promising. Looked very promising. So I think they found their quarterback. They just need to give him some pieces around him, and they need to give him a defense that can actually help him.
Yeah, I mean, with a lot of these quarterbacks, especially in the NFC South, if they had a mediocre defense, or just like a mid defense, middle of the road, it would help so many of them. I think NFC South with average defenses probably could have been that 10-win, 3-team scene, 10-win seasons.
Yeah, it would have been definitely a completely different year, played out, at least playoff-wise. It would have been really tough. And it probably would have been the most challenging year to figure out who was going to get in and who was not going to make it in, even if they did have a good record. So, but hats off to the Rams, man. Hats off to the Rams.
Yeah, they played a hell of a game. Stafford always makes a good comeback right at the end. Mm-hmm. Proud of him. Proud of that team. I like Stafford. I don't like the Rams, but like I was upset to see the Panthers lose because currently, I think going into this game, teams with a negative record going into the playoffs have a 4-2 record. So now it's 4-3.
I got you. Yeah.
Anyways, going on to the next game of the week here, we had Bears versus Packers. This was my game of the week. This was my favorite game to watch out of all of them. At least like when it got to that third, fourth quarter, this was definitely the best game of the entire week.
So newsflash, me, Austin, and Zach are all friends outside of this, so that's the reason why we created this. Anyways, I sent Austin a message during that game, and it says something, and I quote, sorry, I was not prepared.
You're good. While he looks up that message here, Bears 31, Packers 27. Toys got the message.
So, Austin, also, Green Bay gets the ball in the second half. If they score here, they might run away with it. My response, looking ugly right now, but watch. Bears come back. Calling it right now. That was at 6:29 p.m. on Saturday. So, in my opinion, the script was kind of in. I don't know how in the hell or who in the football gods or how in the hell that, who is their kicker again? The Packers.
I don't even know anymore. I still have Mason Crosby in my team. Brandon McManus. No, never mind. Yeah, Brandon McManus.
How in the hell? Who paid McManus? Because how in the hell do you miss a PAT and 2 field goals and then allow a team to come back from, what, a 21-3 lead? I mean, deficit? What the hell is going on? Jordan Love got his team in field goal range, and his kickers sold him out. What the hell is going on with the kickers in the league right now?
Dude, every single one. Like, it's blowing my mind how so many of these guys are missing kicks, easy kicks. Last year, these were chip shots. Now this year just seems to be a problem. Like, a 27 yards for an extra point now? That's a chip shot. That's nothing for these guys now. They've been doing it for 10 years since they
100%.
put back the extra point from the 3-yard line. Like this should have been nothing. And then also just be Jordan Love, you bring your team all the way down, you score a touchdown, and watch your kicker miss it.
Yeah, it's tough to see. And like all the kickers, like we're gonna talk about the Bills and the Jaguars game, but Cam Little, whatever he wants to go by, you hit a 67-yard field goal in the regular season. You hit a 68-yard field goal in the regular season, which basically clips your previous record of 67. You get to the game and you chip shot a 54-yard field goal going into half. How in the hell does this happen when you have the record? Now, I get that we can't probably talk about him, and I don't want no beef, Justin Tucker. I want no beef. My family last name Tucker, too. I don't want no beef with you. I know you got a lot of stuff going on right now, but you have that record. And last year when you played for the Ravens, you was playing like garbage, and you were missing a lot of PATs and kicks, and that's why they got rid of you on top of the rumors and innuendo of what's going on. Like, what is going on with the kickers right now? It's quite insane.
The longer their range gets, the less accuracy they have from close range.
Damn it, bring back Janikowski.
Fuck it, might as well. Man played for, 48 seasons?
Pretty much, man. Shout out to Polish Hammer.
Dude, it was him and Frank Gore still wearing the leather helmets. You brought up Cam Little. Let's go ahead and jump to that game then. I think we said everything we can say about Bears and Packers. Bills Jaguars 27-24. That was also just a fun game to watch. To me, it was it was probably one of the better defensive games. Just watching 100%. These two kind of battle it out. I got to be honest, there was a point in there where I was thinking the Bills were losing, that they were going to actually lose. That like the year that Josh Allen is basically prophesized to win the entire, to win it all. He's going to win the Super Bowl. Everybody just guesses that as soon as the playoffs start because he has no competition like he's had the previous years, and he almost goes out to the Jaguars. Those Jaguars, at some point, I thought Josh Allen was losing this game, especially when he was prophesized to be the Super Bowl winner this year, especially with everybody in the AFC out. He had no challengers going into this, as everybody said. Like, this is his year to lose, and he almost did that wild card weekend.
It was quite insane. You know, the NFL rushing leader, and before we get started on this, I don't want if anybody, is from Chicago, I don't want them to think that we're just bypass over the. I'm very happy for you guys' organization. You guys deserve the hell out of it, and I hope you go very far. Now, back to this game. The NFL leader in rushing yards this year, shout out to James Cook, they shut him the hell down. 15 for 46. I mean, look, I'm not a mathematician, but let me pull out my handy-dandy calculator. That is not...
That's not good.
That's not good at all. That's like 3 yards per carry. They shut him down. They made sure that Josh Allen had to beat him. That was the only way that was going to happen. Josh Allen, you are going to have to beat us. And they almost did it. And on that, I think it was 2nd and goal, and right before halftime when Josh Allen ran down there and scored that touchdown, I thought he blew his knee out. I 100% thought he blew his knee out because he immediately grabbed his knee and was grimacing in pain. But somehow the white Superman figured it out. Shout out my dude Clark Kent. Black Superman is Cam Newton. You'll always have a special place in my heart, Cam. One love. But the white Superman, Clark Kent, came out, did his thing, and showed up. And 28 for 35, 273, and 1 touchdown. Hey, fantastic. But got to give the Jacksonville Jaguars a little bit of love, too. Trevor Lawrence, you did not fold. One of those picks was not your fault. And you guys are going to be okay next year. That's a team to look out for. Everybody's talking about the AFC South. Oh, it's the Colts. Oh, it's the Texans. I'm looking out for the Jaguars. This team is going to be really good next year. And when they get Travis back, they're going to be even better. But god damn, they got to figure out something on defense, because, especially with their DBs, because a couple of them were getting cooked out there.
I mean, they're going to... I don't know. I really like Liam Cohen as a coach. I think he offers the best chance for them to do anything successful. I'm not going to ever say that like they could be a championship team, because
no,
history shows us Jaguars just never will.
No,
it's weird to say, because like I feel like Liam Cohen is going to be able to put together a pretty top tier offense. I say that with hesitancy though, because I still don't trust Trevor Lawrence. I just don't. I know you said like one of those picks wasn't his fault. At the end of the day, he still threw 2 picks.
Very true.
The man needs help. And like I don't know what it is, but it just feels like he still has so many college tendencies when I watch him play, that at this point in his career he should be done. They should be done. They shouldn't have started. He needs to get out of his own head in some ways. I don't know. It's so weird to say, because like there's moments when he's on the field and you're watching a man who is definitely a professional, who's definitely been in the league for a couple of years, is on his 2nd contract, and deservedly so. And then other times you're watching him and you're like, dude, are you still running with Bama right now? What is going on right now? I don't know where he went to college, but you still running with them?
Close enough. No, I get that. There were a couple plays that was like, what the hell's going on? Also, big shout out to Parker Washington. He stepped up this year. Everybody thought Brian Thomas Jr. was going to take the big step like he did last year. Shout out to Parker Washington. He played his ass off. Back to Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, he has moments where it's like, what the hell's going on? But he also has moments where he shows you that he was deserving of that second contract. I don't think he deserved as much as he did, but I'm not going to count another man's pockets. And I really do like Liam Cohen as a coach. They have pieces. They're just young. They have pieces, but once they figure it out, they're going to be a little dangerous and they're going to be something to mess with in the AFC.
You know, it's funny when you mention that. There's old Seahawks player, and I can't remember his name right now. He was on the defense. I'm looking at all the names right now.
What years?
Michael Bennett. It was Michael Bennett.
Yes.
He actually went out and he said something that like I just believe to be true of quarterback is the only position you can go be mediocre at and get $100 million contract.
Boy, ain't that the truth.
I'm not saying Trevor Lawrence is mediocre. He's definitely above mediocre, but he's not worth what they paid him.
Shout out Brock Osweiler.
Oh man, every time I always think Ryan Tannehill. Every time
Damn.
I remember he was signed to the Dolphins. It was like 3 years, $110 million. When that was like before that was big money. Before that was like standard. That was like that was elite. Like any other team would have paid Tom Brady at that time that amount of money to play for them for a year. And the man did not have a winning record as a quarterback, and he still got that type of contract. And now we're still in those days where an above average quarterback is getting elite money.
I think you might be just a little incorrect right there. If I remember correctly, I can't remember if it was him or Blake Bortles, but they were on that Jacksonville team that went against the Patriots in 2018 in the AFC Championship. I can't remember if it was him or Blake Bortles, but I think that warranted that contract. I might be wrong because I might be thinking of Blake Bortles, but I'm almost sure he was on that team. And, was it egregious? Absolutely.
But so here was the contract. He was drafted by the Dolphins.
It was Blake Bortles.
It was, yeah. Tannehill, I'm just thinking because I got onto him. He signed a $96 million extension for 6 years back in 2015, which was insane money back then.
Yeah.
It's so weird to say 2015 is 10 years ago, and I'm saying that was insane money. Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Anyway, we're gonna move on from that because now I just made us both feel old.
Yeah, pretty much.
We're gonna go to basically out of these 4 games. The first 4 games were spectacular. Every single one of them was a battle back and forth, and I couldn't take my eyes off of them. The next one being 49ers versus Eagles.
Oh, I gotta do this. I gotta shout out one of my best friends, Rodney G. That man called me after this game was over. He is the biggest Eagles fan that I know. A lot of me and my buddies give him shit because he was a Seahawks fan as well, but claimed that he was both. There's not the time and the place to talk about that right now. Austin, I'm gonna ask you a simple question.
Yep.
For our listeners who play Madden, and if you know just a little something about football, if you have your number 1 and your number 1B out on the side, outside the hashes, and then you have a tight end and you have Jahad Dotson on the slot, and they've ran this play 50 at least this year. And if you watch the Philadelphia Eagles offense, every time they run this same goddamn play, AJ up the seam, Jahad Dotson on a crossing route, Dallas Goedert on a short crossing route, and you got Devontae Smith on the other seam route. I'm just gonna ask you a simple question. And for our people who never played football, I'm just gonna or even like studied football. I feel like you can answer this question. How would you stop two vertical routes and two crossing routes? Anybody? Anyone?
I feel like the answer is simple, but I'm gonna let you do. I honestly, when I think of that, I just think of a simple cover three, because you always got two safeties high covering the vertical routes, and you have two linebackers covering the center.
You know, that works. That's a very acceptable play call as well. I would have no problem with that. I would even go with cover six. You know, half the side is playing four, the other half of the side is playing two. Hell, I would even go a cover nine. They were running a cover three, like Austin said. And you know what they did? The safety stayed with AJ, and the safety stayed with Devontae. And you know what the corner did? The corner just sat his ass right there, while the linebackers followed Jihad Dotson and Dallas Goddard. So what did Jalen choose to do? Because it is the open route and it's the open read. It is the right read. What did he do? He threw it to Dallas Goddard, who was triple covered by the fucking nickel, by the linebacker, and the corner. Now you might ask yourself, how did I know that play? Or how did everybody else know that play? They ran the same play every single time this year. That's the reason why AJ Brown wants to get the hell out of Philly. If you're running the play every single time and there's 18 weeks, you must think you're smarter than a defensive coordinator and you have the perfect play call for it. But you don't. They've been running the same play the entire time, and nothing has changed. Not motioning Saquon out, not motioning somebody, not making the trips, not doing anything. This was abysmal to watch the end of this game. I'm off my soapbox. I'm sorry.
No, the only reason I disagree about the ending of this game is because it's always kind of fun to watch the Eagles lose, specifically when they're at home.
That's fair.
When they're at home, I love watching them lose because I think Eagles fans are the worst fans in the NFL. The most hostile, most disrespectful, just the worst fans in the NFL. No offense, Rodney. You're a great dude. Watch the Super Bowl at his place. He was a great dude. It does help that they were winning in a blowout. I don't know how he would have. I don't know what windows would have broke had they were losing. And that's just something I can only assume is with him being an Eagles fan.
Yeah, furniture was gonna move, and and we would have had to calm his short ass down. So, all love, brother, all love.
Let's move on to the next game. These next two games, I don't know about you, but for me, the first one here, Chargers Patriots, was the hardest game to watch out of all of them. I couldn't even say it was a defensive battle. This was just two. Like, I don't know what it is. Patriots had such a good season, but for some reason, this just looked like two terrible teams that shouldn't be in the playoffs.
You know, the crazy thing is Mike Vrabel figured it out, I think, in the fourth quarter or tail end of the third quarter. He just started running different stunts because he knew that their offensive line was already depleted, and if he's running a stunt and just changing up the ways that his DN and his D tackle or nose guard is going to attack you, that it would lead to an easy sack or an easy fumble recovery or an easy pick. And damn it, he was right. I agree with us. And that was just a hard game to watch. And, you know, kudos to the Patriots for figuring it out after like 35 minutes of playing this team that you knew was beat up. But yeah, that was just bad.
Yeah, good. Kudos to the Patriots, man. I'm not gonna say they're back because I don't fully believe they are yet, but they're definitely showing good signs. This game was not a good showing of that, but they're showing signs.
Definitely.
And then
Definitely.
this one, I think, at least for the football fan in me and someone who, like, I enjoyed watching his career when he was in Green Bay, especially the 2014 NFC Championship.
Of course, you're gonna bring that up.
I got to bring up something from this week, man. Especially if we're talking about this game. Texans 30, Steelers 6. This was a very, very fun defensive battle right up until the last 5 minutes.
100%. 100%. Same way that you. I hope this is not A-Rod's last year. Once again, me and Austin were texting about that during the game. If it is, man, this is a tough way to see him go out. He has not looked like himself the entire year. He just could not get on the same page with his receivers, or they could not get on the same page with him. I don't know what it was, but it was just a bad game. And I hope this is not his last year, because we kind of did age ourselves when we said that 2015 was a long time ago. And if this is his last year and that was his last game, a piece of my childhood disappeared. And the last piece that I have to hold on is not even NFL related, is LeBron James and whenever he retires. So, but yeah, this was bad. Kudos to the Texans. The Texans have a fucking vicious front four. Good God Almighty! And their DBs will knock the piss out of you. But you know, the Patriots are gonna have their work cut out for them on offense, at least, because that defense is coming. That defense is coming.
I don't know. The way you
Pause.
said that, they put me in got me in a Charles Barkley mindset of like, oh, them young boys coming.
Yeah. You know, I thought about that, and I was like, yeah, let me just add that quick pause to it real quick. Yeah. Shout out Charles Barkley.
The man is much better NBA analyst than he is on the court, and he is fucking damn good on the court.
Yo, that's a fucking monster, man.
All right, man. Let's go on really quick. Let's talk about our picks for this next week. Divisional round. This is the big ones, man. I'm saving a certain game for last. I think you can already tell which one it is. I wanted to talk more about it. I talked a bit about it with Zach. It's time to talk about it with you. First things first, Bills Broncos.
Man, that's gonna be a very tough one. The Broncos front four is gonna beat the hell out of Josh Allen. We just gotta see how resilient he is. PS2 is gonna lock down Shakur or Coleman, so the other is gonna have to figure out a way to help his quarterback out. And I hope it's Coleman, only because I want to see the young fella actually fight through the adversity he went through this year. But if I had to pick, if you like legitimately put a gun to my head and asked me to pick, I think I'm going with the Bills for experience reasons. That's the only reason. I think Bo Nix, he will either have two games. He'll have a game very similar to Tim Tebow in 2009, or he'll have a game very similar to Tim Tebow in 2009 as well, where they got their ass beat. So the very next game. So
I'll tell you this. Zach picked Bills. I picked Bills. So it's Bills across the board for all of us. Let's see. The next game we had here was the Texans versus the Patriots. I'll tell you, Zach picked the Patriots. I picked the Texans. I really think that defense is going to just kind of what you said about like experience. Drake May doesn't have that.
he does.
Neither does this Texans team either, but they do have the number one defense in the NFL. I don't think it's going to take them to the Super Bowl per se, but I definitely think it's going to take them past the Patriots.
I couldn't agree with you anymore. As a former Patriots fan, there's no reason why I stopped being a fan. I just stopped. But that defensive line is better than we give them credit. And I can't remember the big fella's name, the defensive tackle that they got from Philly last year. He's a force to reckon with. So, but, you know, you got two young guys, and, you know, one young guy actually has 2 playoff wins, and the other one only has 1. So, and last year, in my opinion, I feel like the Texans got robbed, but that's a completely different story for a different day. So, as a former Pats fan, I gotta go with the Pats, only because I feel like their offense is that much better. And if you get any pressure on CJ Stroud like the Steelers did last month or on Monday, there's a chance that he will potentially, he will put the same display out there again.
Yeah, I agree. Could not agree more. I'm just biding time now. The next game we have in the docket here, we're going Rams versus the Bears. And I got to be honest with you, after you talked about the Bears, I originally picked the Rams. I'm going to stick with them because I already wrote that down. That's what I told Zach. I'm still sticking with them. Zach said the Rams. I am kind of leaning more towards the Bears now, but I still believe the experience and just Stafford's unwillingness to lose, that the Rams have the edge in this game.
He spent all those years playing for Detroit. And that 0-16 year, where I think they got beat by the Bears twice that year, it's hard for him not to have some sort of vendetta towards the Bears in general, even though he hasn't been their quarterback in, 5 years? I want to say. When did he win the Super Bowl? Is it 2021, 2022?
That was 21. Because that
Okay.
was the... I can only remember it as the Dr. Dre.
There we go. Yes,
that's the only. Here's how memorable that game was. It wasn't. Dr. Dre is the only reason to remember that game.
Hey man, there's a couple memorable things. Like Eli Apple got exposed. Odell tore his ACL. That was a big one. But I get you on. I get you on, Trey.
I remember The Rock introducing the game after they announced that they were about to start kickoff.
Well,
that's
XFL, baby. But if you ask me, I want to see the Rams go against the very last game that Austin is sitting over here cheesing and waiting to talk about. I would much rather see them face who I think is going to win the next game versus the Bears. But the Bears, if they do win, man, that's Chicago going to be up. This is going to be the most up they've been since 1997 when the Bulls won a championship.
The last 98. Game. I think that was 98. That was 98.
Okay.
Our last game here, 49ers versus Seahawks. I think it's very clear I'm picking the Seahawks. That's exactly what I wrote down for Zach. Exactly what I'm going to put down. I'm always going to rep this team. I'm always going to hope for the win. I'm not picking the Seahawks necessarily because they did. 13-3 doesn't sound like that far of a spread, especially for an NFL game for Week 18. But when you watch that game, Seattle destroyed that team. They destroyed the Niners in every single aspect of the game, and the only thing that held back Seattle was their ability to finish the drives. Jason Myers. But even if Jason Myers wasn't there, the one touchdown would have sealed the game.
100%.
I have a thing to talk about with it, but I'm gonna let you pick you do your pick first.
I was really hoping that Fred Warner was going to be cleared. Only because they needed somebody to try and generate some pressure on Darnold, since he already is a little beat up. But, man, this pains me to say. I think I got to go with Seattle. They just don't have anything on defense besides Lenore. Hopefully I'm not saying Buddy's name wrong. Their corner. And that's really about it. Big Trent is still hurt. Kittle is out. And Brock Purdy is going to get beat like a redheaded stepchild because that front four is the real deal. So I got to go with Seattle.
So what I wanted to go into, I didn't get to talk with Zach nearly as much about it. I did a little bit, but the online discourse about this game is insane. I would go ahead and venture to say that because this is a divisional game, this is a heated rival divisional game in the divisional round. So there's always going to be more shit talking. There's always going to be more people talking about it. I would go ahead and say that this has the most eyes on it right now,
100%.
at least between Seattle and San Francisco. Even being a Seahawks fan, though, when you look online, you see what people are guessing what this score is going to be. It is insane how out of mind some Seattle fans are right now and how level-headed 49ers fans are.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, man. Some Seahawks fans can be really delusional.
Even like, so typically in these type of games, like when we look back at Week 18, Niners fans were delusional, especially with the way they said the score was going to be.
Oh yeah,
How
yeah.
everybody said they were going to blow out Seattle. It wasn't even going to be a close game. They're right. It wasn't close. It was 13-3, but it still wasn't close. I'm seeing the complete opposite now. I'm seeing 40. I saw several people today say Seattle 45 points tomorrow on the Niners, and I don't think they recognize the fact like this. It was a lot more bandwagon fans rejoining Seattle's ranks again because they genuinely think we're going to blow out the Niners. Like, this is a game that very rarely has a blowout win on either side. These are two teams that are always level-headed. No matter how bad the records are, they always have close games just because of the hatred they have for each other.
100%. You know, it goes back to Legion of Boom days. You know, like those games were close. They were close every single year, and they met either in divisional game or the championship game from 2012, I want to say, up until 2014.
So they've only had 2 meetings in the playoffs.
Only 2 meetings. The
Yeah,
Kaepernick year and
one was the Kaepernick year, and then the other one was
Vernon Davis getting
2 years.
destroyed.
Yeah, 2 years ago. Again, I say, like, it's rare that either team gets a blowout win here. And it's amazing. Like, even though 49ers fans, of course, they're going to say that their team's going to win. That makes sense. I expect them to say that. But they're being really level-headed with it, of saying, like, it's going to be like 20-17. Or it'll be like 21-20. Like, it's every single thing I've seen from a 49ers fan is it's going to be a one-score game. But then Seattle fans are saying that this is going to be a blowout. It blows my mind how delusional some Seattle fans are being right now. Like, this is going to be a one-score game. This game comes down to the last play.
The thing is, in my opinion, and I've never been a Seahawks fan, even though I've lived here my entire life. I've never been a Seahawks fan. I've always just found interest in other teams, but I've always kept a close eye on it because I do live here. This year, I've kept a really close eye on this team, and this team is a defensive juggernaut. And offensively, yeah, you can look and see that JSN was led the league in receiving yards and all that, and that's fantastic. But if you really watch those games, the defense has either bailed them out or the defense has been the reason that's had led to these victories. And to even generate those words out of your mouth to say that it's going to be a blowout victory, in my opinion, is just quite insane. Because that Niners team, beat up, is still really fucking good. And they showed that beating defending champions last Saturday. And you gotta give them some credit. You can't write them off. And yeah, the defending champions kind of beat themselves, but you gotta give them credit.
That's the thing. Defending champions beat themselves. Seattle, like, that's going to be the biggest hurdle for them, is beating themselves.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
like, that's the thing. That's going to hold them. I'm fully aware that's going to be what holds them back the most. It's going to be the offense. Like, I don't know what it is and what happened, but at some point in the season, we just stopped finishing drives. And it's not like we're going up against. It's not just because we're going up against better talent towards the end of the year. Like, we just stopped finishing drives.
Who was the quarterback? It might have been Darnold, but I think it was. God, what is his name? That's gonna bug the hell out of me. He was the Jets quarterback right before Aaron Rodgers got there. Zach.
That might have been Darnold.
Zach Wilson. There we go.
Zach Wilson.
So I can't remember if it was Darnold or Zach Wilson. This was probably about 3 or 4 years ago. He said, "I'm seeing ghosts," because he was getting beat that much because that offensive line was abysmal. And let's not forget, Darnold spent what 5 years there, four
Yeah.
years with the Jets. He was getting beat up pretty bad, and everybody wrote him off. And he went to Minnesota. We went to Carolina, and then went to Minnesota, and was able to have a resurgence in his career. I know the man looks 35, but he's 28. He can revert back to old habits, and he's shown that in a few games. And he definitely showed that on that Thursday night game against the Rams. But he also showed what he learned when he got to Minnesota, that he's resilient and put the team on his back and won that game.
This is the other thing I keep saying is like if Seattle goes on and the Rams go on, then it's the NFC Championship, Seattle and Rams, and people are talking about like he's going to be seeing ghosts. He's going to be seeing his past. He'll be looking at how the Rams took him out last year, and it's like I don't know if you guys saw this, but he played a hell of a game against the Rams on Thursday
Indeed,
Night Football not that long ago and came out with a win. I think he
indeed,
got over his ghosts.
100%.
And that game, the Week 18 game against San Fran, they played very, very safe football with him.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, honestly, I could only liken it to like the old school Patriot style of just check downs, 5 yard slants, quick in and outs. Like, there's nothing fancy, nothing special, no deep plays, nothing crazy to throw the other team off. They just played safe football.
Kubiak is you
And
guys' offensive coordinator, right?
yeah,
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
nah, he might not be next year.
I highly doubt it.
We'll see. If Seattle advances to next week, it only furthers other teams' reasonings to give him more money. If he ends up making it to the Super Bowl, somebody's going to pay him, and he's going to say yes. If we win the Super
Eventually,
Bowl, that dude's going to be ahead regardless of how good he actually is. Granted, I do think he's an amazing offensive
100%.
coordinator, but I don't necessarily think he's a great head coach. That's yet to be proven. Maybe I'm wrong. We don't know yet.
Some of our older listeners, everybody knows Gary Kubiak. He was a backup quarterback for the Denver Broncos in the late '80s and early '90s behind John Elway. If you look at that Denver Broncos offense, not to go on a tangent, they ran that West Coast offense, and that was a mastermind of Mike. But Kubiak had to sit under that coaching tree because he was a backup, but he got a chance to sit under that coaching tree. And when Gary finally had a chance to coach the Broncos, I think that was 2015, 14, 15. And you look at that team, they did the same exact thing. Dink and dunk routes and then throw it over the top. Dink and dunk routes and throw it over the top when it was open. When they were getting ready to blitz, you can run a play action and throw it straight over the top because the safety bit down too hard and you had nobody to cover the back. And if you look at Seattle's offense, that's pretty much what they do right now. If you have a one-on-one on JSN, you'll be a fucking idiot to have a one-on-one on JSN without having somebody shade over the top. But if you do that, you are disrespecting Clint Kubiak and you're disrespecting his entire lineage. Because that is an easy dub. So, dink and dunk is the way to go, guys. That's
It's
why the
I
Patriots were so successful.
It's exactly why I think like if they can stick to that tomorrow, they'll win. Seattle
100%.
will come out with a win. The tricky thing is like you can see it like I'm looking at the scores right now. I'm looking at the entire year our game logs here. Darnold sacked 27 times this season. Feels like way more.
A lot more.
I think his
And
actual I don't know why, but this feels wrong. But yeah, this is coming straight from ESPN. He was sacked 27 times this year, and I think it's just because there's a few games. Was it against Thursday night? He was sacked 4 times that games, but every other game it was like 1 or 0 times. The next highest would be against Minnesota. They sacked him 4 times. They won 26-0, and he got sacked 4 times.
how many times did he get
And
sacked in
then
that Bucks game? Once?
the Bucks.
Yeah. I think that was week
Buccaneers
4.
here. Tampa Bay. He got sacked 0 times.
Okay. How many
He
times
wasn't sacked
pressured?
at all. Pressure. They don't have pressure as a rating on here for some reason.
Okay, all good.
I'd imagine a lot. Bucks did get to him a lot.
100%. Yeah. I couldn't remember if they got a sack or not. So
No, I think like when I go back through these numbers and see he threw for 4,000 yards, 67% completion rate. This man had 25 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. That's going to be like the real big thing is if he gets more interceptions, which a lot of his interceptions this year wasn't even necessarily his fault.
Hold on, 14? I thought he had 20.
No, he had 14 interceptions.
Where the hell? I swear I was watching either a Sunday night or like a Thursday night game that said that man had 24 touchdowns and 20 picks.
I'm looking right at ESPN. They only count him as 14 touchdowns for the season.
Okay. I must have been higher or something. I don't know what that was
The
going on.
biggest one being 4 against the Rams in that loss earlier in November.
Okay.
Which, if he doesn't throw those 4 interceptions, that was a 21-19 game. Very good chance they come out with a win on that one.
Very true. Very true. Hey, man.
That Tampa game, honestly, Seattle lost to Tampa. I think we were going to lose that game anyways. Personally, like Tampa at that time, they were the front runner to actually go to the Super Bowl. The other one we lost was San Francisco, first game of the year. New quarterback, new coach, new everything. Like I think it was expected that we weren't going to have a good season, so we started off exactly how they thought and just ended better.
Very true. And, being somebody who, lives in Seattle, and you can ask all my buddies who are Seahawks fans, I never disrespected the Seahawks. I just said that they would go above 500. I did not expect them to go 14-3, but I knew that I could not disrespect them and say that they would go below 500. So I knew that they could go above 500.
I think we talked about it before the season. I think I gave him like maybe 9 wins.
Yeah.
Like I was not expecting playoffs. I was thinking like 10 wins max with a wild card.
I think I was right there with you.
The NFC West wasn't doing well.
I think I was right there with you. I think I said about 9 or 10 wins. So it's gonna be interesting. Get your popcorn ready. Shout out to you.
All right, let's get you up some quick topics that we talked about with Zach. What's your thoughts on Tomlin stepping down as the Steelers coach after 19 seasons playing with the team?
That's a hell of a switch.
Coaching the team.
That's a hell of a switch from how we started.
Yeah, it is.
Man, it's really tough because Mike T, as long as I can remember, I remember Coach Bill Cowher. But
yeah, I do see that bastard.
But
I'll never forget the refs in that Super Bowl. Sorry, continue.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I know that's a soft spot for you. I'm sorry. But like from when I can really I obviously remember football from very long ago. I'm not gonna age myself. Screw you guys. But I remember Mike Tomlin, their coach, for 19 years, so damn near a quarter of my life. And it's going to be weird not seeing him on the sideline. And it's going to be very strange. I'll say half my life down there. And it's going to be very weird not seeing him on the sideline. I don't per se think he was at fault. I don't know how much. I mean, in 19 years, you would obviously think that you would have some sort of say-so. But I don't know how the Rooney family is. And I also don't know how the general manager of that team is. Do I think they should have went after somebody years ago, at least a quarterback? Absolutely. I think they swung for the fences and hoped that it was Mason Rudolph. Didn't turn out too well. Ended up getting smacked upside the head by Myles Garrett. Probably shouldn't say certain words that you should say, buddy. But, they thought they had their successor, and it didn't turn out that well. And I don't think he deserves the screen. A lot of other coaches and a lot of other organizations swung and missed. Once again, we talked about the fucking Titans with Ryan Tannehill. He was there, I want to say, for years, give or take, 5-6 years.
Yeah, I think it's about that. I think it's about 5 years.
5 years, and I can go on and on and on about the teams that swung and missed when they thought they had a quarterback and it didn't turn out being that way. So do I think that he could have did something more than getting Russell Wilson and Justin Fields last year? Absolutely. I think he probably should have went after somebody bigger, but there was nobody bigger available. So that's all you had to work with. But I do think his biggest mistake is not drafting somebody sooner to get under Big Ben's learning tree and try and learn. Because I think they had Mason Rudolph the year after Big Ben retired. I think that's when they got him. And that's fucking tough to rebuild your franchise after that. I think he's a fantastic coach, though.
I think I agree with you. He's a fantastic coach. He's never had a losing season. That's all you really need to say about the man. He's never had a losing season. He hasn't had very good luck when it comes to the playoffs. But I also think I told Zach this of like, because of how long he's been coaching, because of the fact he doesn't have losing seasons, he always ends up in the wild card. He always ends up with the division. Like, he ends up getting in the playoffs. Sadly, that just doesn't really bring growth to a franchise. Like, you can't grow when you're always middle of the road or closer to the last 20 pick. Or like when you're pick 20 and later, you can get a steal, you can get somebody who's amazing every now and then, but you're not getting those top 10 picks that you really need to build a franchise and build a future around.
You know, in this year's draft or last year's draft, you know, your best quarterback, and I don't care what anybody says, like, Cam Ward obviously was the best, and Shador, whether you like him or dislike him, he was the second best. It definitely, in my opinion, wasn't Tyler Shook or Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart showed signs, and Tyler Shook surprised me and actually did really well this year. I don't know how much of that was his head coach, who was offensive minded, but, you know, in the last few years, there hasn't been a number one or first round pick that's wowed you. Yeah, the Patriots got Drake May. That's kind of about it if you think about it for young guys. Caleb Williams went number one, and like you said, if you're a middle of the pack team, you're not getting Caleb Williams.
No, you're not. And they've always had a pretty good offensive line. This year was probably the worst, which was weird because I think Rodgers picked Tomlin, specifically picked the team because of Tomlin, but also 100%. Knew that like they always have a good offensive line. They always have a decent receiving core. The running game is always good. The Steelers' defense, for the most part, like this year, they were supposed to be the best defense in the league. They're the highest paid defense in the league, and they were maybe middle of the road. It wasn't until like the last 4 weeks that they started playing like they were the highest paid defense in the league. And once they got into this game against the Texans, they were playing like that until Texans defense took over.
Yeah, I mean, your defense can only save you so much before they get tired, and they're always out on the field. You know, T.J. Watt's not getting younger. Cam Hayward probably has like another year or two left. Ramsey's made a fantastic turnaround to play safety. Joey Porter Jr.'s, hey, dude's coming to it. But they got to figure something out. They need to offensive line. They need to. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
I would say I think next season's going to be their first losing season they've had in 19 years. Hell, longer than that.
Yeah, 20 plus. That is wild to think about, man. Like, the Patriots had their 3-14 season last year. That was their first losing season since 1998 or some shit like that. And this will be the first losing season for the Steelers this upcoming year. Probably since around that time. Maybe 2000.
2003.
2003?
Is the last losing season this team's had. They went 6-10 in 2003. That very next season, 2004, they lost the AFC Conference Championship at 15-1.
It's the culture of the Pats.
I'm going to say that was the Colts. Because I think that year that Peyton won his first one.
Yeah.
And then that next year, they won the Super Bowl at 11-5. They were a wild card team. And then Tomlin's, I think it's his second year as a head coach. He went 12-4, won the Super Bowl. His first season was 10-6.
2004 was the Pats. They played Carolina. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's right, that game.
And it's one of the forgotten ones. But
I'm just looking over it. Like in the year two, they've had one losing season. That's it.
that's insane.
One losing
That's
season
insane.
since the year 2000. Quarter of a century has gone by. They've had one losing season. No other team in the league can say that.
That is insane. That is very insane. You know, Hall of Fame, in my opinion, I don't care what anybody says, and not to throw race into it, but only him and Coach Dungy are the only two black coaches to win a Super Bowl. That has to make him Hall of Fame worthy right there because he went through all the adversity to get a head coaching job in the NFL. They made a specific rule, the Rooney Rule, to get him a head coaching job. And he got it. And he had 20, what? No, he had 19 consistent, consecutive winning seasons. And the only coach to do that outside of him is Coach Belichick. You were in high you were in the higher upper echelon if you're right behind Coach Belichick. You are first ballot Hall of Famer as a coach.
I mean, I knew you were going to bring him up, so I had to take a look at it.
Yeah.
Since the year 2000, Patriots in the year 2000 went 5-11.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That was Belichick's first year as a head coach. The
Mhm.
very next year, he won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and then had a subpar season in 2008 when Brady tore his ACL, and I think they still went 8-8 or 9-8.
Went 11-5.
No, that is right. They went fucking 11-5.
Yeah, they
It didn't make it to the playoffs.
didn't make it to the playoffs as an 11-win team. So after the year 2000, which was 5-11 negative season, their very next losing season was 7-9 with Belichick. And then right after that, he goes 10-7, makes the playoffs.
Was that
Then he goes
2020?
8-9. That was 21, 10-7.
21?
Yeah, and then he spent 2 years with so even the Patriots, the mighty Patriots, have had 4 losing seasons since 2000. The Steelers won, just one.
I want them to think. I want people to think about this. Belichick from 2001 until 2021 never had a losing season. Yeah, you can throw all the accolades into the Super Bowls and all that stuff, and yeah, that's why he is, in my opinion, one of the greatest coach of all time. But the guy behind him who had one less season was 19 straight years of winning seasons. Let that sink in. With 2 Super Bowl appearances and 1 ring. You know, the Patriots and the Chiefs have normalized that going to the Super Bowl and winning it is easy. It is not fucking easy.
No, not at all. And the Chiefs have had help. Not to be that guy, but you watch their games.
No, you can say the same about the Pats.
Yeah, definitely. Tuck rule. Anyways.
Well, his counterpart is out of his AFC running mates out of town too.
That's true. That is true. So I brought it up to Zach. I'll bring this one up to you. Or actually, Zach brought this up to me, but I brought it to the team. Do you see Tomlin coaching again? And there's a lot of rumors saying that this might just be the last one. He might never coach again. I personally think he will. The man has too much love for the game. He's still relatively young. He's still relatively young for coaching standards. 100%. I can see him taking a year or 2 off. I personally believe the man should play, or he should coach the Bills. I think the Bills have, with Myles Garrett in that backfield, or Myles Garrett at the D-line, he's a great defensive player to kind of build the defense around, making sure you have a great front line, and then kind of work in some middle of the road cornerbacks, maybe 1 or 2 stellar safeties, and then he has 4 quarterbacks to choose from. I say 4 because Deshaun Watson's still on the fucking. He's going to be on the payroll for the next 2 seasons.
No, 100%. That wouldn't be a bad place. Cleveland wouldn't be a bad place. I personally, if I was him, I would go down to Atlanta. They need to figure out who they have for a quarterback, but they have a good defense.
It's funny. Zach said the same thing. He needs to go to Atlanta. I still think he should go to the Browns. I think he could turn that organization around. Currently, the Browns next season, by the way, salary cap negative
Yeah.
24 million.
That's what happens when you pay a guy who was coming off an Achilles $240 million all guaranteed.
Yeah. Same situation that the Broncos went through when they paid Wilson all that money. I mean, granted, he wasn't injured going into it, but they paid him all that money without ever seeing him work in their system. They played Watson all that. They never saw him work in their system.
Yeah, I mean, whatever Coach Tomlin decides to do, I support, and we should all support. And hopefully, he gets an opportunity with a capable quarterback and a competent defense. And I love the idea of Atlanta. They would embrace the hell out of him.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree at all. I do think they would love him. That team, honestly, either one would be a good choice. I would love to see him on the Browns. That team just needs something good to happen to them.
And I know we're talking about it the next topic, but and everybody was like, oh, John Harbaugh, and will be fantastic for this team and that team and this team. I'm taking Coach Tomlin over Harbaugh in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I agree. I think Tomlin has a better record overall. I think Tomlin has a better scheme overall. Like he's going to be a better coach for just about any team out there that needs one right now. With 9 damn spots open, granted, he's probably not going to take one this year. I guarantee there'll at least be 6 spots next year. It just seems like the amount of coaches is always, at least for the last few years, has been like between 7 and like, I think last year was 11 head coaching spots. Like it just some insane numbers lately because teams don't give coaches enough time to build a culture anymore.
No,
I'm stealing that from Zach. He said that. Zach said that. I'm stealing that from him. Teams do not have an opportunity to build a culture.
Zach's out here spitting, doing the Deaf Poetry Society out here. I'm snap real quick.
Should have seen him, man. He put on glasses, a beanie. He was doing slam poetry on this thing. It was. I mean, we don't have a video. We don't have visuals, but I could see him.
No, I could see him too. The only thing that Harbaugh has over Tomlin right now is they have the same amount of Super Bowls, but they don't have the same amount of Super Bowl appearances. And the only other thing is that Harbaugh in the last 5 years has been to the AFC Championship game twice. So that's the only thing he has over Tomlin.
I'll put this over Tomlin too. He helped continue the 49ers Super Bowl losing streak.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I know you're happy about that.
I'm always happy to see that. Fuck the 49ers. Hate the 49ers. I'm just quoting a rap song I heard earlier this week.
Well, hey, speaking of Harbaugh, though, I know it's potentially trouble in paradise. It's rumored innuendo, so we're not going to get too deep on it. But how do you feel about him joining the Giants?
I think they need to change the GM before they look at a potential head coach, which I guess was also rumor and innuendo that Harbaugh wanted a different GM if he was going to be there because he recognizes that GM does not know how to build a team. And I think that GM's the reason why the Giants have not been able to build a good team for the past couple of years. And I pointed this out to Zach too, of like, just because you look at the Giants as like a historic team. They've been around forever. People can say they've been historically good, but even when they were winning Super Bowls, they weren't the better team. They happened to have the better outcome, but they were never the best team in any of the Super Bowl wins. So like there needs to be a dramatic change from the top down. And with Harbaugh potentially being the head coach there, I think that is a good first step. But there's still so many manager positions that need to be filled and redone before he can make any changes to that organization.
I couldn't agree anymore. I get why he chose the Giants. If it follows through, they have a good defense. They're gonna get Kayvon Thibodeau. He's probably gonna be out next year, but you still got Abdul Carter. You still got Brian Burns. You know the back end needs a little. The offense, I don't fully believe in Dart, but Wendell Robinson or Wendell Carter, is it Wendell Carter or Wendell Robinson? My bad, buddy. Uh, he played phenomenal this year for the short amount of time that they needed him to, especially with Malik Neighbors being out. But yeah, that organization, they need to be up there with the Jets and the Raiders. Excuse me, in my opinion, because there's no way in hell that the Super Bowl you won was in 2011, and the team has just been god awful since then. They had spurts, you know. They had the incident in Miami where niggas decided to be on party boats taking pictures like a fake R&B album, and they let Odell leave, but that that organization has been a joke, and letting fucking Saquon go, that is ridiculous. So I get why he chose there. I like him as a coach. I also don't think he was the reason that Baltimore did not do what they needed to do. I think they just needed a change of scenery, and they needed a new voice in the office, and they needed to hear a new message. And you can't say the same thing about Coach T, because those guys did not want him to go. He just felt like it was best.
You look online, you look at the rumors going on about both teams leaving or both coaches leaving. You look at Harbaugh's, and I haven't seen a single player or any rumors saying that they're sad to see him go. I've seen a lot of people saying that they were happy to see him go, that he lost the locker room, that people didn't trust him or believe in his system anymore. Meanwhile, you hear about Tomlin's speech to explaining how he stepped down, and you're hearing people say that they're crying. Like they don't want him to go. They don't want him to leave. Like people are threatening to quit the game if he quits. Like he's that important of a coach.
100%. So it's going to be interesting. It's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens with Harbaugh. It's going to be interesting to see. I really think Tom is going to take the year off, like you said, and just reevaluate some things.
I have a really good feeling he's going to go. He's going to end up being on CBS, Fox, or NBC. He might be on Prime. He's going to be an analyst in some way, shape, or form.
100%.
For at least a year. And I think in that year or two, maybe, he's going to realize how much he still loves the game. I mean, I've told you about, like, I've been watching a lot of John Gruden stuff on YouTube lately. Still don't think he should be a head coach. Understand why he's not in the league. I understand why he's not in the league anymore. You can't be talking about NFL players that way. But
look that up if you guys don't know what he's talking about. Look that up. Yeah,
just look that up.
We're not talking about that.
You can tell how much he has a passion for the game, how much he loves teaching it and talking about it. And I feel like that same type of passion we're going to see from Tomlin if he becomes an analyst. Like I do expect to see him on my TV talking about upcoming games, and I expect him to almost be like how Tony Romo was his first couple games, explaining what offenses and defenses are about to do before it even happens on the field, telling everybody 100%. What's going to happen right before it happens every single time. I think we're about to see that with Tomlin, and I'm excited for it because I think it's just going to spark that passion of like, man, I do got to be coaching right now.
100%. No, I agree. I agree with that. Another show that nobody really talks about because it is on the CW. I think Inside the NFL with Ocho, Chris Long, and Ryan Clark, and they now have Bill Belichick on there as their coach analyst. I think he would be a fantastic on that show as well if he decided to go down that route. So
I just can't wait for his interview on the Shannon Sharp podcast. It's gonna be 2 hours. I'm gonna sit at my desk and just watch.
Mike, so what happened, man? What happened?
I just not to go on the tangent on the side note here, but I love watching Shannon Sharp's podcast because it's always the most basic question, You get 25 minutes of answering from that guest, and then Shannon really turns it on. Like it's always just like you said. It's always what happened. You get 20 minutes of content, and then Shannon goes in depth. Like at that point, he becomes the best possible interviewer, the best possible questioner that you could ask for.
Yeah.
But it's always that first question that's just like hilariously simple.
I mean, as a guy who's transitioned from the game of football and being a analyst, he's fucking did fantastic. And anybody in the NFL should, personal shit aside, professional, just strictly professional, you should want to be like him professionally. Personal side, we're all humans, we fuck up. I'm not here to talk about that. Google him. But, you know.
I mean, even personal stuff, like he made it a point to be like, this is the show. This is what we're doing. Here's my little 5 minutes of like, I apologize for this. I know I did this wrong. I know this is going on.
Yeah.
I know there's some stuff to talk about. We're not here to talk about that. Let's go on to the games.
100%. So,
dude is it's amazing because when you listen to him on Nightcap talking to T.O., there's moments you're like, I can't believe this guy's professional.
No, not at all. Not even fucking close. But I actually have to get ready. Do you want to do the closing thing real quick? Do you want to close normally or?
Really quick. Yeah, my bad. I didn't realize we were talking for an hour or over an hour here.
I didn't realize it either. I literally just looked up and I was like, oh shit, I need to get ready.
Yeah, my bad. You have a good dinner. Ladies and gentlemen.
I appreciate you.
Appreciate you for doing this. I appreciate Zach for joining on earlier. We're going to get back to all three of us eventually. We're going to get to doing this regularly eventually.
Next week.
Next Tuesday. We got some divisional games to talk about.
The holidays fucked everything up.
Agreed. But that's going to be it for the entire show. This is going to be the end here. Thank you for listening to All That Talk. Presents Productions. Eventually I'm going to learn how to say that word correctly the first time. Anyways, like, share, comment, do whatever you can. Help get the show out there. Help get us out there.
Appreciate you guys listening. Be back normally, like Austin said. And love you guys. Support you guys. Really appreciate you guys listening to Avalon Out Nonsense. So
peace.
Peace.